the budget value in this one. Put the phone down. Oh, I don't know. Good to go.
So welcome everybody to this ordinary meeting of the Buloke Shire Council. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land of which we meet tonight and pay our respects to the elders and to the elders of any other communities that may be with us tonight. Item number 2 is receipt of apologies, of which we have none.
No apologies tonight, Mayor. Just noting the council steward is on a leave of absence.
Very much. Item 3, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting.
Yes, Mayor. We'll get there. I think there needs to be some slight adjustment with the minutes in respect to the decision to grant permit for a service station in Donald at last month's meeting. The issue of the EV charging station doesn't appear to be in the minutes, and I know whilst it's something we can't demand as such or point, but the undertaking of the issue was that it was certainly encouraged to have it there. So I think it needs to be reflected in the minutes so that it is reflected in the planning permit that has been since issued.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. Councillor Warren, the recommendation is that we adopt the minutes of the council meeting held Wednesday, 8th of February 2023, and the council adopt the minutes of the council meeting Wednesday, 15th of February, with the addition to what you had mentioned, Councillor Warren.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Second, please.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Councillor Mill. Any further discussion?
No, thank you.
We've got the vote, all in favour? Okay. Carried. Request to leave of absence. Do we have any?
No.
No. Declaration of pecuniary and conflict of interest in accordance with section 132 of the Local Government Act 2020. Councillors who have a conflict of interest in respect to a matter being considered at this meeting must A, disclose the conflict of interest in the manner required by the Council's Governance Rules 2020, and B, exclude themselves from the decision-making process in relation to the matter, including any discussion or vote on the matter at any council meeting or delegated committee, and any actions in relation to this matter. Councillors, any conflict of interest?
No, thank you. No.
Good. Item 6, questions from the public, of which there are none.
No questions to the stage, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 7, report on council assemblies. Council's made a recommendation that the council note the report of the council assembly meeting held on the 1st and 15th of February 2023. The council care to move that, please.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Councillor Mill, and a second. Councillor Hogan, any discussion on those? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 7.2, letters of congratulation and recognition and achievement award, but none listed.
Not at this stage.
7.3, correspondence initiated by council. Nothing in that report.
That's correct, Mayor.
It's further on in the council in the meeting agenda is the summary of action of council resolutions, and item 8.2.1 8.2.2 and 8.2.3 were letters sent.
Excuse me, Councillor, and through you, Mayor, we can deal with that now once we.
Forget that. 7.4, building report, monthly update, office of the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, the usual procedural report highlighting the building permits that have been issued by the Municipal Building Surveyor in the previous month.
Councillors, we've got a recommendation that council note the information. Sorry.
A question, if I can, please, for you, Mr. Mayor, in the project description, just numbers, don't we normally have a brief description of what the application might be for?
I think we usually do.
We usually do.
I know you can look it up, but it's.
Yeah, that's a good point, Councillor. I'm not sure what even those numbers.
With the permit numbers.
The numbers, but yeah, usually it might be, shed or fence or something.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or another
we'll, through you, Mayor, again, we'll have all of this.
That's fine.
Yep, Councillor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Merle. The recommendation that council note the information contained in the report of the building permits approved by staff from 1 February 23 to 28 February 23. Can you move those, please? Councillor Pollard, thank you. Second,
Second those, Mayor.
Councillor Warren, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favour?
Yeah.
Yes, carried. Thank you. 7.5, planning application received, monthly update.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, again, the federal report, but highlighting what is a very busy time in the planning office at this stage, with an update on a range of planning applications. Mayor, there's a recommendation for councillors for their consideration.
Thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Council's got a recommendation that council note the information contained in the report on planning application under consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications. Can you read that, please? Councillor Mill.
Question,
Oh, sorry.
a question if I may, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Mill.
With item PA 22005, the Stannard Road for Chupka, what would be required in the review? This application for construction of a powering shed has been here for a while. Can somebody take that on notice to find out what that review might be, please, whether it's waterways or something like that?
Yeah, through the, we need to take it on notice, but
Because it just seems where there's existing sheds, that it should be something that might go through. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mill.
And through the Mayor, just we've alluded to this in the, I suppose, the amended minutes, but in terms of the service station, will we take it a new permit will be issued with that information in it?
Yeah, we will, through the Mayor, we'll need to ensure that we're in compliance with the Planning and Environment Act. Yes, just have the applicant understand that, we do continue to encourage them.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. No, councillors, we've had the recommendation. Would somebody care to move that recommendation, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to move that.
Councillor Warren, a seconder. Councillor Hogan. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried. 7.6, status of action and past council meetings resolutions. Mr. O'Toole again.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, again, the usual monthly report just highlighting the actions undertaken against the resolutions that have been made by council in recent meetings. There's a recommendation for council, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Councillors, the recommendation is that council note the status of action report for council resolutions documented on this list. Councillor Simpson.
And I would like to highlight that 8.2.1 and 8.2.2, which are listed as commenced. I believe these letters to the ministers have been sent.
Confirming that is the case, yes, so we will have the minutes reflect of that action that has been undertaken.
Thank you. Councillors, somebody care to move that recommendation, please? Councillor Simpson, and a seconder. Councillor Pollard. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Thank you. 8.1 policy reports. 8.2.1 the plenary report. Councillors and community, tonight it gives me great pleasure to present the annual report 2021 and 2022. It's again a time to pause and reflect on the significant achievements of council and community, albeit a little later than usual. Whilst the shadow of the global pandemic was at play, sometimes causing how we lived, it was a major impact that most felt on the cost and workforce pressure around delivering some of our projects. Buloke Shire Council was the last local government area in Victoria to record a COVID-19 case in November 2021. This was no means a coincidence. Our high vaccination rate and the innate Buloke ability to look after one another to the fore. I congratulate you all and thank you for your cooperation ensuring our population remains safe. The annual report is the council's highest level reporting document to the state government and to the community, and the last piece of the larger government reporting framework that flows through council planning, annual budgeting and reporting. It is somewhat different this year, as Councillor Warren would have introduced this report if it weren't for the October 22 floods. Councillor Warren was the Buloke Shire Mayor during the reporting year, and I thank him for his leadership during that time, and also the local government Victoria, who have been very accommodating to Buloke and other local government areas in moving the reporting time frame due to the floods and the impact on our internal resources. The document outlines a year of great delivery of projects and programs and invite all of our community to take a look and celebrate their own achievements. Thank you to Ms Joanne Postlewaite, who led the compilation of the annual report with significant input from our corporate and organisational performance and community development teams. Councillors, tonight we have a recommendation that Council 1 receives and note the Buloke Shire Council Annual Report 2021-2022 and advertise that copies of the Annual Report 2021-2022 are available on the Council's website and from the Council's Wootsie-proof Customer Service Centre. Councillors, move into that, please. Councillor Pollard, seconder. Councillor Simpson, discussion. Any comments?
No, I'd just like to thank the staff for assembling this report together and include, yes, it was late because they were under immense pressure from the flood event that happened last October, and well done staff because we're still working through a flood event.
Councillor Simpson.
I would like to reiterate the comments of Councillor Pollard and to add that although they've been under a great deal of pressure due to the floods, this document in no way reflects that. It is a high quality, high standard document.
Thank you. Any other councillor care to comment? Councillor Mann?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a general comment that it's always a highlight to receive this report, the annual report. Because it does showcase the major goings on as well as everything in between for the workings of the council, and I think it does put it out there for the general public to get a good feel for what's going on. While they might forget some things, most of the time it's listed in this report, and they have an opportunity to refresh their memory. So it's good to have a report so well put together and full of fact and figure that our ratepayer can enjoy. Thank you.
Any other comment?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to commend those who put it together on beautiful photos, which are very reflective of all of our agricultural and diverse communities. And yeah, it was really impressive. So, well done.
Thank you. Councillors have been moved by Councillor Pollard and seconded by Councillor Simpson that we adopt this report. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 8.2.2, Audit and Risk Committee minutes, meeting minutes 7th of December 2022. Corporate and organisational performance.
Thank you, Mayor, and through the chair, councillors, we present a report to you tonight about regarding the purpose of acknowledging our Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes for the December 7th meeting, which was endorsed by the Audit and Risk Committee meeting at their recent February meeting. And just to confirm, these are the December 7th meeting minutes. So there's a small error in the purpose of that report. So it mentions September, which is definitely not September, December 7th minutes. So yeah, key items included reviewing the draft leasing and licensing policy, working through our internal and external audits, and a number of other that contribute to the transparency of our organisation. So very important.
Thank you. Council has had a recommendation that Council note the draft minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 7th of December 2022. I think we can move that, please.
Before we move that, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask a question? Are they still in draft minutes since they were approved at the last February meeting? Are they the minutes now?
That's a very good point, Councillor Foley. I'll have to ask Ms. Stedman on that one.
So the minutes have been approved by the Audit and Risk Committee meeting. So yes, that is in the site council file. It's probably over from a previous report. So apologies for that. We will remove draft from the recommendation.
Thank you. And the recommendation will then read that the Council note the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on 7th December 2022. I'll get a mover for that in a second for that, please. On the basis. Councillor Hagan, and the seconder.
Yeah, happy to do that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Mills, any further discussion?
No.
All those in favour? Against? Carried. Uh, 8.2.3 community grants. Mr. Fitzgibbon.
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, councillors, I'm pleased to present this report outlining applications to your sustainability grants program. These applications were assessed by an assessment panel of 3 council staff across the organisation as per community grants guidelines as accepted by council. Of the 4 applications, 2 have been recommended by the assessment panel, they being $2,000 for a virtual playgroup, the Warriors, and $4,000 for a double scalable automated delivery system. I'm pleased to present this report to the councillors for their consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbon. Councillors, we've got a recommendation that council consider the following funding under the sustainability grant. $2,000 Buloke Youth Health Expo 2023.
Mayor, can I just, I think that the recommendation needs to be altered. Because if you keep reading this out, you're going to recommend 2,000 for the Youth Health Expo and 10,000 for the Sustainable System for Waste Product. I don't think that's the intent of the report. Staff have just advised that they're only recommending 2, which is the early years eco warriors and the automated watering system. So I think we need to have a recommendation that somewhat says that the recommendation is to award grants to the early years eco warriors and the automated watering system.
Thank you.
I think that would be the intent of the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Warren, and there through you, an alternate recommendation would be that Council Warren considers the following under the Sustainability Grants Program of $0 to the Health Expo 2023, $2,000 to early years eco warriors, $4,000 to automated watering system, and $0 to the reducing sustainable waste product.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbon. All right, Council's recommendation will then read that Council consider the following funding under the Sustainability Grants Program. $0 to Buloke Youth Health Expo 2023, $2,000 for the early years eco warriors, $4,000 automated watering system, and $0 to producing sustainability systems for waste products. So I get a move for that point.
Happy to move that.
Councillor Hagan and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Discussion. Councillor Hagan.
The first one, the Eco Warrior for the virtual playgroup. I think that's a very worthwhile project, and project benefit was engaging children in environmental sustainability education from an early age, which can only be a very valuable outcome. So I think that would be $2,000 very well spent, council. And also the automated watering system is also seems to be a very sensible way of spending our money to encourage high quality irrigated lawn areas for the dogs, scaffold landscape concept plan, and a good way of efficiently watering by capturing rainwater.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Discussion.
I'd just like to say those two meet the criteria of our sustainability ones. Disappointingly, the other ones don't at this stage. And for the others to fit under the sustainability program, the guidelines require to be changed.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. And Councillor Mill.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a further comment on the Eco Warriors type thing. It'd be nice to just to reiterate what we discussed at briefing, to look for funds for these sort of things from other bodies as well, so that we can utilise anything that might be due to come to us from sustainability bodies or waste bodies that we are members of throughout Victoria, so that that we can then have more money in this pool to share to other community organisations. So just a further to that discussion and briefing that where possible, we look for alternative funding.
Thank you, Councillor Mill. Any other discussion?
Just to, I suppose, reiterate what Councillor Mill has just referred to, I did some digging, and through the Victorian Government Circular Economy Business Innovation Centre, I was able to find a Circular Economy Innovation Fund grant for our friends at Australian Eat Well, which I've passed on to them. Hopefully, it seems like the same guidelines, grants of $50,000 to $400,000, with a fairly generous 2-to-1 contribution, so that they can implement this particular very worthwhile project to divert waste from, well, if you like, it's not quite landfill, but it's from the GWM's processor. So I think that emphasises the fact that finally the state government have taken this seriously and putting some funding out there to address these issues. So I think we've done two things. We've gone out and sort of said, well, we'll try and find some money for them and direct them in the right way. And we've somewhat preserved some of our funding internally.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. Council, the recommendation been moved by Councillor Hogan and seconded by Councillor Pollard. All those in favour?
Yep.
Yes, that's carried. Thank you. Nine, other business. No, 9.1.
No, I think we might have to go back
8.3.
again.
Sorry, yeah. All stuck together here. 8.3, financial reports, nil. 8.4, organisational reports, nil. 8.5, reports from councillors. Councillor Hogan.
Okay. I attended the Truro College Leaders Induction Ceremony, and it was great to see so many young people putting themselves forward to take on leadership positions. Also in February, I attended a reception at Government House as part of a mentorship program I'm involved with School Pathways to Politics to encourage the participation of women of all ages in the three levels of politics. And especially today on International Women's Day, I think it's a very important program to be involved in. Thank you.
Councillor Pollard.
probably just like to report that we had a meeting with some of our BOM staff, our staff, SES and some of the local Charlton people as well as other councillors. And having a listen to people what happened at the last October flood and how with a bit of luck we'll be able to reduce the impact in future floods.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson.
I attended the North Central Glen board meeting, and the highlight of that meeting was a presentation by Susan Gould, who outlined the new secondary schools agriculture fund, and this fund is to enhance the knowledge of students regarding employment opportunities in agriculture. So in this environment where we are heavily reliant on agriculture, it's certainly a funding which will be beneficial to hopefully many of our students as they move through employment options. I attended 2 of the aged care community consultation meetings, and it was very interesting to see the questions and answers from members of the community. I also attended 2 of the flood meetings, the one in Donald and the one in Charlton, regarding hopefully mitigation of future town flooding.
Thank you. Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've attended, since the last meeting, attended the Railway Alliance annual general meeting, where I think the report has been circulated through the bulletin. But basically, the result of the annual general meeting was that Councillor Van Milne from Mildura retains the chair at this stage. A couple of other things, and there's a full list of that report if anybody hasn't read it on one of those bulletins. I've also attended Birchip Forum Donald 2000 meetings, which is good to catch up. I was guest at the Birchip for the zone.
CWA group.
What zone is it?
CWA group.
No, but what?
East Wimmera.
East Wimmera, that's it. For the East Wimmera CWA conference. Now, I think one more of those conferences, and I'm a fully fledged member. I've done 2 now. So, I took the opportunity to address a couple of issues that we have at council, and was informed later on that they'd put them up for discussion at further down at State Council. So, and they were things like the betterment situation for roads, and being all women at that particular show, you know, that it wasn't lost on them that they travel on those roads as well as anybody else, and that they thought that they'd be able to maybe add a little bit of voice to that argument. And the other one was to do with the impact of the current electoral boundary review, just to make sure they were across that and aware of the outcomes and consequences of whichever way it goes. Since we've also had a Buloke Tourism Board meeting, first for the year, which we've used to start getting our ducks in a row for the next 12 months. We are very close to releasing the next OVG, the Official Visitors Guide, which it's a pleasure to report that this year is very well subscribed to, whereas the embarrassing situation of the last report where we had to dig some money out of council, this year we'll have a little bit left over, and we've actually voted to produce more booklets than we originally intended. So gone from 12,000 to 15,000. That's the hard work of the members in communities who have signed up the people into the visitors guide, and hopefully that'll go to press if all is in order by the end of this week. So go to print, sorry. And also attended the Birchip Land Care meeting, which was an interesting an interesting discussion about a number of things, and one of which I guess is the in connection with Birch Forum, an interest in having environmental water in Chum Lake North in the future, somewhere down the track. And yesterday I was only able to attend the one meeting in Charlton for the flood mitigation meetings, as I attended a Wimmera Valley Tourism Board meeting, not a board meeting, but an information session with Grampians Tourism at Horsham, where we had members of staff there and industry people, and learned a little bit about what our next door neighbours are doing, and with a view to knowing where we're going when the visitor economies finally get announced. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Warren?
Thank you, Mayor. Like my fellow councillors, been spending a bit of time in the home care changes at meetings at various locations. I suppose it was driven home to me today. It was one of my turns to do Meals on Wheels through the Donald community, and we had a bumper crop today, which is unusual. Got to put a few on, and certainly I fielded a lot of questions doing Meals on Wheels today. There is a lot of angst, a lot of uncertainty in the community about what these changes and the impact may be, and no doubt, as all councils will be feeling these questions, because we're going into the great unknown, very much so, in the future. So, if you like, that was a bit of a sobering wake-up call. Certainly, they value their meal service, so it's going to be a very difficult decision, councils, could I say. The other thing, I had to go, was invited to go to the Mallee Track AGM at Oyen back in, 24th of February. Yeah, it was 24th of February. Very interesting meeting there, sort of gearing up to provide a lot of service through there. They're a very proactive health organisation. They take their responsibilities very seriously, and they do very much care for their community. And I think, I know probably our staff interact with them very closely, but I think it's one of those groups that we need to nurture and nourish, because they certainly have, whilst not all of our community at heart, they certainly have a strong interest. Following on from that, I then spent 2 days working and volunteering, if you like, at the Visitor Information Centre in Sea Lake. And it was really interesting for the weekend. The lack of visitors was one thing, but the other thing that came back from those visitors, and they didn't know, I didn't have a badge on, but they were fairly scathing on the streetscape in Sea Lake. Sorry to report, there was a lot of negativity from travellers. Now, I know we have a difficult situation, but if these are people coming in with open eyes, independent views, they don't have an axe to grind, they were disappointed in what they found. So I'll pass that on there for what it is, but that's, if you like, the word on the street, sadly. The rest of the report I'll pass on to be included in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. And my report I emailed in today. So I just want to check to make sure it's everyone. I couldn't have an email. Thank you, councillors, and certainly been a busy month. 9 other business, 9.1 notice of motion, of which there is nil. 9.2 questions from councillors. Which there is nil.
Thank you, Mick.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Warren.
And this is probably directed to staff. I had a very frantic phone call the other evening. I think it was at the briefing at Sea Lake, in regard to a ratepayer that had received a very threatening letter from council in regard to the state of his veranda, which indicated that there was some $2,000 almost in fines that needed to be applied to his current situation. I attended the residents in the morning, and the problem sorted itself out. I suppose the question is to staff: is there a veranda with lights on at the moment?
Happy to take that, Mayor. No, there's not. There have been a number of complaints made by some people around the municipality around some verandas, so there's not been a specific targeted activity against verandas, but certainly there's been a number of issues pertaining to verandas in Donald and Charlton in the last little bit or so.
Okay. The only comment I would make is that if we are going to go out and issue almost $2,000 worth of fines per se, let's make sure we issue them to the right people and for the right properties. Because this elderly gentleman didn't sleep, was incredibly upset, and I can understand why.
Yeah, and thank you, councillor, and through the meeting, yes, there's been a couple of matters came to that in the last week or so. Yeah, Mayor and I have discussed it, and I've also discussed with the government manager about taking some action to ensure that doesn't happen.
Thank you very much.
And the mayor can report he was, yes, taken to task in his office by the very same, what do you say, oversight in the permanent wrong building in Charlton. Councillor Melbourne.
Just a question. I mean, some time ago, this sort of thing happened in Watcham. It goes back a few years. It was nothing as suspicious as this, but it turned out to be that that the council system was a GPS system that wasn't lining up properly. Is that still the system we use?
And through the mayor, we do still use a GPS system, but in both of these instances last week, that it was not the fault of GPS. It was one was a clerical error, and one was simply an oversight by staff.
Thank you very much.
Another councillor has a question.
Yeah, just a question in relation to the swimming pools. What date did the swimming pools close around the Shire?
I believe it's a weekend after the long weekend.
We're just checking.
No, right, so we've got,
Perhaps the date is suspended.
The 19th is.
Councillor Hogan,
Okay.
confirm.
and could I just please ask that staff ensure that the pools are heated as the weather gets a bit cooler, that they're heated in the mornings when people are using them for classes in the next 2 weeks or so, however long it is that they're open for. Thank you.
Councillor Simpson.
I've had a phone call and I'm getting an email from a resident of the Stuart Mill area. Apparently Parks Victoria are closing Lake Teddington, decommissioning Lake Teddington. And her question was, is Buloke Shire able to offer any support to the people of Stuart Mill in regards to it being a tourist and recreational area? I will forward more information when I receive it, but I'm not sure whether as Buloke Shire we can influence decisions in the Northern Grampians and Parks Victoria.
Through the mayor, happy to take a look at the detail of it and then make an assessment of what we think we might be able to do to advocate on behalf of Northern Grampians Shire, and we'll have a chat with the senior staff there as well before we have to step into to an issue like that. But yeah, if you've got some detail, we'll forward through.
As soon as I get them, I will forward them through.
Mr. Mayor, yes, it is on the front page of the North Central News today. There's also been a post on Facebook calling for a public meeting in Stuart Mill. But it might be something that the tourism boards might be more interested in, as opposed to the council.
And again, through the once I have the detail, we're more happy for me to share it with the relevant tourism board. I can pass that through.
Thank you.
Thank you. Urgent business, of which there is nil. Any other business, councillors? No. 9.5, matters which may exclude the public. Councillors, we have a recommendation that pursuant to section 66(1) and 2A of the Local Government Act 2020, that the meeting be closed to the public to consider the following reports that are considered to contain confidential information on the grounds provided in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020 as indicated below.